Welcome to Fat Kids Food Porn, where we like to cook with a cocktail in hand. Today we are going to cook a smoked leg of lamb. This one is boneless. I got about a 6-pound piece of meat here. One of the things what I've done already is I've taken it out of the netting. You'll get the netting around it. But the reason I took it out of the netting is I want to be able to get some salt and pepper on this. This is a big chunk of meat. So we'll make sure we get some good seasoning on there and get it all going. Then the next step is I'm actually going to make a marinade. I'm gonna let this marinate for a couple hours today because wifey and I were moving a little slow. But you can use this marinade for 4 hours up to 24 hours because you have such a big piece of meat. So this is going to be a really tasty treat. I'm looking forward to this. So let's get this started. As I said, I'm going to salt and pepper this. I'm going to be using a Himalayan pink salt and then just some fresh ground black pepper. As I said, you want to make sure that you are very liberal with this because you want this to really get in there and penetrate all of this meat as you're sitting there smoking it and cooking it. It's just going to really help all these flavors to pop. As I've told you guys before, don't be afraid to get in here, plate your meat, really press this in. Make sure that you get that seasoning all in there. Get that going. There we go. All right, next step, I want to slap it back in the net. One of the reasons why I want to cook this in a net, or if you have some butcher's twine, you can use a butcher's twine and truss this up, is as you see, when they deboned it, you're going to have all these little hanging pieces and everything else. I want this roast to really just cook together, so that's why I'm going to slap him back in his little happy net before we put him in the marinade, and then we will get him ready for the grill and get to smoking. Go, got him in his little net. Let's get him slapped in the bag that we're going to put the marinade in with him. There we go. Let me get my hands washed up, and then we'll start on this marinade. All right, for my marinade, I'm going to do this a little bit different. My wife's not a huge mint fan, so typically I've done this the more authentic style with thyme, mint leaves, and everything, but I'm going to change it up a little bit and see how this comes out. Got to definitely start with the garlic, so I'm going to slap that in my handy dandy blender here. I would call this 6 to 8 cloves of garlic. I already had it all minced up. Next thing, what I'm using a mint jelly. So it's going to add some sweetness along with some of that mint flavor. As I said, wifey's very particular. She's not a huge fan of the mint, but I want a little bit of that flavor in there. So I use about a teaspoon. I'm going to use some rice wine vinegar. We'll call it a 1/4 cup. Then I've got thyme. I'm going to put some thyme in this. The jarred thyme, so I don't need to use as much as whenever you use fresh, because whenever you have that dried thyme, it's got a little bit more pungent flavor. And then because of that sweetness from the rice wine vinegar and the mint jelly, I'm actually going to take some cayenne, balance this out, and add some heat. So I call it about a 1/2 teaspoon of this. Not too hot, but enough just to give it that little extra kick so that you know that it's there. And then last but not least, we need to go with the olive oil. I'm going to call this about a 1/2 cup of the olive oil. I just really want to make sure that this blends up really well, so that way it'll sit all around that big piece of lamb. All right, got that blended up. Just want to have a nice thin consistency. I don't want a lot of chunks in there, but you're going to have a little bit. Biggest key is you just want this to be able to get in here and sit all over your meat as it sits and marinades. Ooh, I can't wait for this to be done, but it's going to take time for greatness. So big key, make sure you take the air out of your bag, just so that way that the marinades really sit all over your piece of lamb. And there we go. Got our lamb all ready. Gonna slap that back in the fridge. Let him marinate. Like I said, we're going to do him for a couple hours. You could do this for 4 hours up to 24. The longer you keep it in there, the more it'll penetrate. So looking forward to getting this on here. I'm going to go ahead and get him in the fridge, go have some more cocktails, and I'll be back right before we get ready to throw him on the smoker. All right, it's been a couple hours. Had this leg of lamb sitting here marinating. getting ready to slap it on the grill. I got the grill going. What I want to hit is 225 degrees. I'm going to smoke it for about 4 hours. The internal temp that I want to hit is about 135 degrees. That's where I want to kick the grill up to where it's even hotter. So I'm going to add some more charcoal and wood to this, so that way I can get it up and get a nice crust on this until I hit an internal temp of about 140, 145. I'm going to pull this bad mammer jammer off, get it sliced, and oh, this is going to taste so good. One of the things I'm using, so I'm using charcoal, but I'm also using post oak. I have let that soak in some water, so that'll keep the moisture going in the grill as it's cooking. The other thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this pan, all the juices right here are going to go in the bottom of this pan. Got a cup of water, going to set that in there. I'm going to put it beside the charcoal that is burning, and that'll keep even more moisture going. So this chunk or leg of lamb is going to come out nice, tender, moist, and oh, I can't wait for this to be done. Alright, we got that bad mammer jammer on there. Got a little pan in there to create some moisture. Got the post oak, the charcoal. We're ready to rock and roll. Let's let this thing sit here and smoke and wait for the goodness to arrive. Alright, we got our smoked leg of lamb. After about 4 hours of smoking, pulled it off, call it a $140, 140 internal temp. As you can see, I let it rest. So we got all those juices just sitting there laying on the cutting board. Next step, I want to cut off the little wrap we had it in. So that way we can cut this up and we're going to be ready to eat. And oh, I cannot wait to taste this. I'm telling you, with that post oak wood smoke, that marinade we put on it, I can only imagine what this is going to taste like. So I'm going to cut these down, just nice healthy portions. As you can see, we got about a medium rare, so that way it's nice and juicy. And oh, I cannot wait to dig into this. As I said, I did a little less traditional marinade on this, but oh, with that smoke and the marinade we put, absolutely delicious. Get out and enjoy, try new things. Don't be afraid of trying something different. I hope you enjoy. Until next time.